What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live. How's your nights going? We're going to chill on stream for about 30 minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA, trying to sort out when they're going to start next season. We'll talk a little bit about the draft, and we'll take your guys' questions. It's probably going to be like a 30-minute stream or so. There's not a whole lot to talk about today, but the next few streams should be popping off. We should get some new draft rumors, some legitimate free agency rumors. Draft is only 16 days away. That's basically 2 weeks. That's kind of crazy. Feels like we've been waiting for it forever, but also feels like it should never come. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's going to be weird to be watching a draft. It'll be exciting because me and Eric have nerded out on the players in this draft. I've been doing a lot of studying. I might know the players in this draft better than any draft before because we've been dropping those draft profiles. Shout out to you if you watched the Patrick Williams draft profile that we dropped over on Blazers Uprise today. If you haven't watched it, then go watch it after the video or go watch it tonight because Patrick Williams is very intriguing, and I enjoy putting out those videos for you guys, so should be able to ramp those up in the coming days. Hopefully get them out a little bit more regular and that type of thing. Also about to drop the mailbag later tonight. That's just kind of what I got going on right now. Eric, how's your night going? What do you got going on? What'd you do today?
Second grade school and work.
Parenting.
And, yeah.
Good
Ran
old
some
parenting.
errands, fixed a few things around the house, all that stuff.
Alvaro says, "Yo, what's up, guys? Disappointed Damarang isn't in the chat, bro. Damarang would never watch us. He, too good. He's too good for that. We're not gonna get into that though. Maybe not tonight. Maybe we will. I don't know. It's hard to resist. A bunch of Twitter stuff. If you don't know what we're talking about, just a bunch of Twitter stuff today with us and some fans of ours and the one and only Mr. Meringue.
It's more like he doesn't want to listen to knowledgeable people because then he'd be questioned on why his opinions are wrong.
I just don't understand how people listen to him and think like, yep, I don't understand anything, but Dan does, even though he never explains anything. I could tell that he knows best and he understands everything, so I'm going to listen to that guy because he's so knowledgeable about basketball, especially when he breaks down the halftime performances on the post-game show. Anyway, if only Thomas Saransky. Oh, Thomas Saransky is in here, man. I don't know why you're going to war with that man, bro. It's like... it's a headache to say the least. He said he's going to bed, but anyway.
I just don't get how it's always the people reading his articles and his viewers on TV that don't understand him.
It's how many times
he's not explaining something right, or he could possibly be wrong about something or not making sense. It's just that we just don't get it, and he's so far ahead of us mentally that we just can't comprehend the things he's laying down. So,
but he's like,
we reach his level, like there's no way.
Has he ever even played organized basketball? I don't think he has, man. I don't think he has. Like, bro, you got this guy who's like, oh, he played middle school JV or some shit, and he's like a basketball genius. You know what I mean? Like, oh my goodness. It's mind-boggling to me. Like, me and you, we try and explain the most complicated stuff, from the CBA to like stuff going on the basketball court, but we try our hardest to explain what we're talking about so other people can understand. It's not even necessarily so they can agree with us. It's just like, okay, I want you guys to understand what I'm saying and maybe, learn something, and then you can have a different opinion, but like at least you'll know what we're talking about and we can have an educated discussion just because we're actually trying to go in depth with things. I hate when people cover the team and just everything they have to say is like, you guys just don't understand and you guys just don't know how it works. Bro, it's your job to explain. That's why you write articles, right? That's why you're on the postgame show. It's your job to explain and analyze the game in a way that people can understand. That's like your job, right? But instead he just sits here on Twitter and is just you have these guys that cover the team that just sit here and talk about how other people can't possibly understand what they see, and they don't even try and explain what they see in any sort of like knowledgeable way. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely ridiculous, and it's shame. I hate that type of stuff because it's like me and you hold ourselves to a higher standard than people who actually get paid to cover the team, and it's just ridiculous to me. It's like I don't know, man. I have too much pride to be like doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my rant on it. I'm not gonna go too long on it, but that's how I feel.
Well, in case anyone missed it, he had an article saying, basically giving some CJ trades that he said we can't get much value for CJ, and the trades don't make a lot of sense, but we have to trade him anyway. And it's like. And then he tried to tell people that they were misunderstanding what he was saying. It's like, no, we clearly understand what you're saying, and it's stupid. Like, you're just trying to like cover the fact that you're being stupid.
Mm-hmm. The more you like, you can be as pleasant and nice as possible, but if you still disagree with him, it becomes like him talking down upon you, being condescending as hell, saying you don't understand without even trying to further explain himself in a way that makes sense, and sometimes he'll insult you flat out, call you a flat earther, call you, all types of stuff. And it's just like, I don't like him. Okay, flat out, I do not like him, bro. Like, me and Eric have known Dan Marang from before he even wrote for Blazers Edge, right? And people are starting to see the type of stuff that we saw when he would post on a forum that we would post on. And it's just ridiculous, man. It's just like, it's kind of... The way he goes about things is unprofessional, and it just kind of pisses me off because flat out, I'm just gonna like air it all out. Like, he's ranted at me in my DMs before about how I have to, be more like reserved and not so, outspoken in order to make it in the industry, right? But like, you got guys like him, you got guys like Chad Doing that are the exact opposite of that. And they still somehow got where they are because they're good at writing or good at saying words. You know what I mean? So it's like the fact that he's like ranted about me, talked down upon me, like been a complete asshole to me in private, and then he's a complete asshole to people on Twitter, and just like the integrity that, like, I don't know, man. Like, the integrity of the job is something that, like, I hold myself to like a high standard doing freaking YouTube, man. Doing YouTube. It's a YouTube channel, right? Like, most YouTubers just come on here and say whatever they want, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. But like, I hold myself to a certain standard. It's just ridiculous to see people who get paid that act to a standard that I hold myself above when I'm a YouTuber and they get paid, but then they rant at me and say somehow I'm the one who has to hold myself to an even higher standard to make it in their industry that I don't even want to be a part of because of how they act. You know what I mean? It's comical. So, I don't know. Well, I hope he'd listen to this, because like, quit being. I don't even have anything left to say on that. Like, I would say this to his face, bro. Like, I'm not. This is how I feel. It's ridiculous.
Well, Tommy's like nice with his interactions. I'm surprised he's still as nice as he is the way Dan responds to him. But like he tries to respond in a respectful way, and then Dan always takes it to a place where it's like, oh, this is stupid, like, if you don't
understand how blah blah blah, then I can't help you. Good luck. It's like, that's so condescending. It's just so self-righteous, man. So anyway, our goal is to get people to stop listening to his ass and start listening to our asses. I mean, not like literally, but like, people stop listening to his work and listening to our work, not our asses, because we don't talk out our ass. He does.
And this is my problem with the people who just say, oh, you have to trade CJ, you have to break up Dame and CJ, and then they don't have a good idea for doing so, right? Like, it's one thing if he had some like legit ideas that would improve the team, and he said like, or maybe even like trade CJ for a young guy, an expiring contract or something. And like, he's like, guys, I'm telling you now, this guy, like, I don't know who it would be, like a Zaire Smith or whatever, like, just saying like, I still believe in this guy, I think he's going to blow up. And then he could look back and say, see, I told you this guy was going to blow up or something. But it's not even that. He's just like trading him just to trade him. And then he even admits that his trades aren't good. And then he still says we have to trade him. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why do we have to trade him if the trades aren't good? Like, and then what are we not understanding about that statement? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, like, if that's like the type of stuff he wrote, I wouldn't be attacking him. You know what I mean? I'm not like, right. That's part of like why I don't like really respect the job he does, but I wouldn't air that opinion out if he wasn't on here being a complete asshole to freaking everybody that doesn't see things exactly the way he sees them. I wouldn't be airing it out if he wasn't talking down to people saying, you just don't understand, without him actually explaining what the hell he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous, bro. It's just like the self-righteousness and the condescending nature in which the people that cover the team talk without knowing what the hell they're talking about. Like, they're not any more basketball smart than a number of people I talk to regularly, you know, or at least regularly before this pandemic. They're not any more knowledgeable, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have, like, college playing experience or NBA playing experience where it's like, okay, they played at a really high level, like, maybe they see something that I don't know. They're just people that know how to talk and write, you know what I mean? But they act like they are so knowledgeable without backing it up, you know what I mean? Like, people would say the same about us. Oh, they act like they know so much. But we back it up, and we're willing to go in depth, and we try our hardest to explain what we see. And if people are respectful in their disagreements, we're generally respectful, or at least more respectful than guys like Dan Marang, Chad Doing. You know what I mean? So it's just ridiculous, man. It's something that just, like, is a ongoing thing, and it just makes me want to try and continue to grow this channel. So that it's, you know, I just want to continue to try and grow this thing until, like, you know, it's something that they really have to take notice of.
I'm glad I know Ben Hewitt likes to troll now.
What did he say?
He says he has the best knowledge of basketball, and that he thinks it's definite that the Blazers will sign and trade Whiteside. He just likes to try and trigger me.
See, we wouldn't know that if we hadn't been playing Among Us, which we've been
What's
playing
up,
a lot with
Ryan?
the community lately. It's been good to get to know the community.
But yeah, like, I'm totally fine if you think the backcourt needs to be broken up. But, like, that's why we challenge you to bring legit ideas to the table and not just say, oh, we have to trade CJ no matter what. Like, come up with some ideas for improving the team. And we might tell you, no, that's not a good idea, and here's why. That's what we try to do with, like, our trade talk videos and stuff. And we've talked about Oladipo a lot, how between the injuries and the fact that, like, his best shooting year is worse than CJ's worst shooting year, that doesn't necessarily help us much on offense. And yeah, it might make us a little better on defense, but the difference between offense and defense might not be enough to make a difference long term. Exactly. Whereas you got a guy like Middleton, who is bigger, more switchable defensively, and like just as good a shooter, if not better, shooting the ball. He maybe not be the shot creator that CJ is, but he can shoot the ball better than CJ. So, like, there I can see, like, why you would do that. But, like, I don't know.
I would love that trade.
Is just at best that's a lateral move, and it just makes no sense. And then he thought we could get TJ Warren too in that same trade. It's like, well, how, like, you think CJ sucks enough that he has to be off the team, like he's Mari Hezonja or something, but we're supposed to get, like, 2 all-star level players back for him or something?
Yeah,
that's the other thing that drives me crazy.
Oh, dude, exactly. Yeah, that's the problem I have. You know, it's like these people are just like, bro, we have to trade CJ. He's so overrated. He sucks. We need to go to Indiana and get Domantas Sabonis and TJ Warren or something like that. It's like, bro, you can't, like, sit here and say he sucks and we have to trade him because he's overrated and then go and say we should trade him for, like, an all-star and a borderline all-star. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. CJ has never been an all-star. You know what I mean? Never even been an all-star. Like, that's a fact. And people are saying he's even worse than, like, what I see him as, which is, like, maybe a borderline all-star. People act like, okay, he's not even that, but then expect us to be able to somehow just decide to trade him for all-star level players. It doesn't make logical sense. That's the problem. It's like a lot of the opinions surrounding this team don't, like, make logical sense, you know? It's just like people that aren't looking at things deep enough, you know what I mean? It doesn't, like, there is no path of logic that I can follow that I'm like, that makes sense with a lot of opinions regarding this team. The CJ thing is one of them. Another one of them is, like, it's Aminu's fault that we lost, that we got swept by the Pelicans in 2018 because he's not a good enough shooter. And my response to that is always, he shot over 43% in that series on making more than 3 threes a game. And the response is, oh, well, they were letting him have that shot. That's why he shot so well, and that's also why, you know, Dame got trapped so hard, because they were letting him have that shot. And it's like, bro, we had an offensive rating of 130 on possessions where Aminu attempted a three. If they were just letting him have that shot whenever, and he was shooting that well, why didn't we go to it all the time if he was shooting 43%? 43% from three is a good clip. We would have scored, if they were letting him have that shot every possession and we went to it every possession, maybe his three-point shooting regresses a little bit, but Aminu shooting wide open threes is like 38, 39%. Right? Like, he shot 35, 36% most of his tenure in Portland, but some of those threes are contested. Open threes, he's going to shoot a little higher clip on. So, if we're, like, why wouldn't we just take threes where we're making 40% of them? You know what I mean? When otherwise our offense is completely in the gutter. You know what I mean? That's where, like, the path of logic doesn't make sense. It's like, bro, we had an offensive rating outside of Aminu's threes. It was like we had an offensive rating of 104, 105. When Aminu shot a three, we had an offensive rating of 130 in that series. But somehow it was Aminu's fault that we lost that series. It's like, oh, well, we got to get rid of Aminu and get a legitimate shooter where teams have to respect him. Bro, like, okay, if the Pelicans weren't respecting Aminu shooting 43% from three, they're probably not going to respect anybody because most people aren't going to shoot much better than that. You know what I mean? So the problem wasn't them giving up Aminu threes. That wasn't the problem in that series. And they didn't just give up a wide open three to Aminu every possession. That wasn't what happened. But that's the narrative that people try and paint to, like, make Aminu the scapegoat and to excuse Stotts. The problem was we were running pick and roll at half court into a trap, and Dame didn't have a good outlet pass opportunity. And he's being trapped by Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday. It was what we decided to do. Half the time he couldn't even get the ball to Aminu. That's why Aminu didn't shoot more threes. Like, a majority of times he didn't even have a guy he could even pass the ball to just because of the way the floor was set up. That's what the problem was in that series, but people don't want to say that because that's an indictment on Stotts. They'd rather just sit here and say, it's Aminu's fault. They let him shoot because he sucks at shooting. It doesn't matter that he made over 43% of them and made over three a game. It's his fault because he can't shoot well enough. We need to go out and get a guy like Nikola Mirotic because he shot 43% in the series. Like, it doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever.
That's why I love reading what Dan said tonight, because he basically admitted that Stotts is the problem without ever admitting it. Because he said that the offense is designed to only be effective in the regular season, and that it takes superhuman efforts sometimes to win games or to lead this team to the playoffs or whatever. And that's exactly our point. This offense is fine during the regular season, but it sucks in the playoffs. It's too easy to stop a guy like Damian Lillard if you just run ISOs and pick and roll and don't have any off-ball movement or a passing-based offense. And that's how you beat elite defenses. And we will never take that next step as a team, no matter what our personnel is, unless we just have like 5 amazing ISO players that are all hot at the same time.
Yeah.
But no, he didn't have a good take, because his take was, I'm not giving him credit for a good take, because he said that in defense of Stotts, not against Stotts, which is ridiculous. But like, he doesn't realize that what he's saying is exactly what we're trying to point out. But he's saying we're not understanding his point, but we understand it clearly. He just doesn't want to admit that Stotts can't coach in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because he can't.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's backed up by the stats in the playoffs, right? Because, like, out of 30 teams, we'll be like 7th, 8th in the regular season. And then in the playoffs, out of 16 teams, we'll be like between 8th and 12th. You know what I mean?
We went through that one time.
Like, playoff teams, if you take the playoff teams from the regular season, we'll like rank above, like 10 out of the other 15 playoff teams. But then in the playoffs, we'll have like half those teams pass us up in terms of offensive rating, in terms of how good their offense is. So that's the thing, is like, compared to playoff teams, our offense regresses from the regular season to the postseason. And that's because Dame gets trapped and we can't adapt and adapt to that, All we want to do is keep running pick and roll and isolation, even though it's a little bit harder to win off isolation in the playoffs. James Harden is a good example of that, like Chris Paul kind of helped that out, because Chris Paul is like a playmaker and but James Harden has struggled in the playoffs, People say he's a guy who struggles in the playoffs, and they never made it past the Western Conference Finals. isolation doesn't work as well in the playoffs, so that's one of the reasons why our offense regresses. And then we run pick and roll against the trap, and we don't do anything to beat it. And we just keep running pick and roll against the trap and putting Dame in bad positions without actually like setting up the floor where we could exploit that trap and create a 4-on-3 behind the 2 defenders that are guarding Dame. So that's why our offense regresses. The stats back that up. That's the thing. We can actually explain what's happening on the court and actually even go find stats that back up what we're saying in regards to that. And that's 100% on Stotts, because we should be able to adapt to a simple trap in the playoffs when we've seen it like 5 years in a row.
Yeah, here's the deal for me. If I was a coach, I'm not saying that I'm a better coach than NBA coaches. I would hate coaching in the NBA. Like, that would not be fun for me. But if I was a coach and another team double-teamed my guy at half court, I would be like, oh, hell yes, this is going to be so easy to score on this team, like, every time. Because I could just design plays to, like, make them think Dame's going to dribble the ball up and then pass it, like, right before he gets to half court or something, and then hurry up and run 4-on-3 with the other guys.
Yeah, there's ways to exploit that, yeah.
And we've broken it down so many ways how you could do that. But, like, Stotts literally says, like, well, they took Dame out of the pick and roll. What am I supposed to do? We kept trying it, but it doesn't work. How am I supposed to change that? Well, my guys just don't step up in the playoffs.
I mean,
like, that's literally what he says. Like,
yeah,
it's so frustrating. It's like, you should be like, you know what? I learned last